Those of you who watch my channel regularly know that I like to do my new moon videos after the new moon. So today's April the 11th. The new moon is actually within the hour, but I'm going to do my new moon video tomorrow on April the 12th. So you know this, you're aware of this. But today I'm going to do my video on Venus's transit in Aries, which began in March, actually March 21st, and ends on April the 14th. Another one of these recent videos about a transit that has just about almost passed. Why you might cry, and if you don't cry, you might cry anyway, because with Venus in Aries and the Moon in Aries, it is crying time. But the reason is that the new moon is conjunct Venus, and Venus plays an important role in setting up this new moon, and as far as this new moon is concerned. Venus, as you know, is the planet, in my opinion, and in my experience, of money and relationships and their nexus, their marriage. Their marriage is a very Venusian concept, along with, there are certain places where Venus and Mercury interact, and or two planets that are not entirely comfortable with each other have to come together. When it comes to relationships, our normal day-to-day social interactions, I don't always ascribe to Venus, I ascribe more to Mercury, because there's a certain amount of chatter and interaction, and gossip and talk and acquaintanceship. And, when it comes to more serious commitments, Mercury clearly plays a role in terms of what is communicated, what is processed, and what is contracted, what is signed, what is agreed upon. But archetypally, and in the way that we perceive key committed partnerships and relationships or important relationships, Venus plays an important role, an extremely important role in our lives, in the way that we relate to others and manage our relationships with others. Often I find that the theme of desire and passion is ascribed to Venus, and I have to say that's much more in the Mars realm of direct, forthright passion and testosterone and sexuality, whereas Venus's role as the archetype feminine is much more to reflect on issues of stability and security and giving one's word, and security in relationships and the quality of relationships, the actual act of connecting and relating. And there's a correlation between relationships and money. If you are contracted to someone professionally, in partnership with them, someone is your client, the quality of that relationship often, or more often than not, determines the quality of your abundance. And similarly, who you are married to, how the marriage is going. Are you going to remain married, or are you going to be divorced? Your financial life and security, not only your emotional, heart-centered Venusian security, but also your material security, come together, and so not surprising that Venus is the planet of love and money, relationships and money. Of course, you add in art, you add in beauty, you add in natural flow, the ability to rely on a certain amount of higher intelligence to make things go, although there Venus starts to share some of that responsibility with Jupiter, but the idea of enjoying the planet, greenery, plants growing, luxuries, enjoying resources, natural resources, and letting things occur. Venus is the passive planet, when Mars is the active planet. Taking one's time in nurturing and growing whatever needs to be nurtured and grown. Pregnancy, the proverbial bun in the oven, the idea of slow and steady wins the race, the idea of listening to other people, the idea of a much more relaxed interaction, whereas Mars is go, go, go. All of those archetypes, both those archetypes are necessary and they're embodied in our lives. But we're talking about Venus here. Now, the reason why I'm harping on Venus in Aries is that Venus is not happy in Aries. Aries is a sign ruled by Mars. Aries is a forthright, direct sign that doesn't have the energy or the ability or the aptitude to spend a lot of time in nuanced conversation. Aries is very forthright about what it wants, and when Aries is on the receiving end, it can be very black and white and rather impatient with the feminine qualities. Both the moon and Venus are uncomfortable in Aries. So when we have the new moon, the sun delighted in Aries, the moon extraordinarily discontented and unhappy in Aries, Venus utterly unhappy in Aries, have this new moon. Now, the aspects to this new moon, and the new moon video will be done tomorrow, as I've mentioned in my videos before, are fantastic. But the setup to this new moon, and two of the planets involved in it are can't possibly be happy with Venusian notions right now, in terms of the setup to this new moon, in terms of our new year really getting started. So when it comes to relationships and financial matters, and for some people when it comes to artistic and creative matters, or to do with luxuries, to do with Venus, to do with, in sort of Hindu iconography, the goddess Lakshmi or the goddess Saraswati, knowledge, art, singing, music, writing. Some of those are shared with Neptune, the singing and the music part, and some of those writing shared with Mercury. The imagination, the arts, the beauty, harmony, decoration, interior decoration, balance, flow, feeling comfortable, feeling content, very much also the realm of the moon. The feminine aspects of our lives are likely, as we head to this new moon, likely to be rocked. Where do I stand in relationships? What are the quality of my relationships? Are my relationships solid? What relationships need to end with the passing of this last year? Any Piscean influence ends with this new moon, because with the sun in Aries, Mercury in Aries, Venus is in Aries, 3 different gates of our new year have opened, and this new moon opens up our new year. It's time for action. It's the Aries new moon. It's time for, what do I want? Who am I in my truth? And what am I going to go after? And with Venus in the moon in Aries, there's likely to be a sense of, all right, who's in the boat with me? Who gets to stay? Who gets to go? Who's behaving in the boat? Who's not behaving in the boat? Who's making me unhappy? This is the thing with the female planets, or the feminine planets in a masculine sign like Aries. It's likely that the way the information is going to be processed is going to be a question of unhappiness and disappointment and discontent, as opposed to a much more mental evaluation of the relationship. The mental evaluation of the relationship will follow, but it's likely that what is going to happen on, with the moon, an intuitive and emotional level, and with Venus, utterly an emotional level. So Venus came into Aries on March the 21st till April the 14th. On March the 26th, it conjuncted the Sun. March the 28th, it conjuncted Chiron. I'm giving you those dates if you want to go back and look at something. You don't have to. Since March the 21st, I would not be surprised at all if you have been restless about the state of your relationships and their connection to finances. Who gets to be in the boat with me? Who is in the boat? Who is not in the boat? Who do I want in the boat? Who's behaving? Who's not behaving? Who is making me unhappy? Who is creating stress on my heart? There we go. That's a Venusian question. Who is disturbing my flow, my contentment, my peace of mind, my sense of equilibrium, my sense of fairness and balance in a relationship, and also financially? Where's the give and take? If I'm extending my hand to someone, how, is it a 50-50? And it doesn't have to be 50-50, but even qualitatively, if not quantitatively, does it at least feel like it's close, or it's in that realm, so that even if it's not 50-50, emotionally it can feel like it's close to being 50-50. And if it isn't, it's very likely, with this transit and the way the transits are working this year, that as you head into this new moon, and as Venus has gone through this transit since March the 21st to April the 14th, it's likely that the relationship and financial aspects and any nexus between them, or the creative aspect of life, the arts, luxuries, beauty, decoration, anything to do with beautifying, making things look balanced and increasing a certain amount of flow, farming, plants, gardening, natural beauty, flow there too. It's very likely that with Venus in Aries, any aspect of relationships and finances and the arts that have been giving you a bit of an itch are likely to get scratched, or the itch is going to be felt. It's like, Venus is like, I'm in Aries, it is hot and direct and sunny, and what's working and what's not. When the moon in Aries, the emotional temperature rises, and the moon in Aries does not suffer fools gladly. With Venus in Aries, it's much more unhappy, it's much more heartbroken, it's much more disappointed. And so if since March the 21st to April the 14th, you find yourself evaluating, you find yourself testing, you find yourself trying to figure out which relationships and what financial issues are giving you a bit of a scratch or a bit of an itch, or causing restlessness, causing discontent, very Aries things to look at. What's working, what's not working, what's a problem, let me deal with the problem. No bullshit. No kidding yourself. No. And if you are the kind of person who's going to kid yourself, this Aries energy will bring things to the surface. And with Aries, it's a bit of a, slap in the face. It's like the hot sun. The sun, it's like everything is illuminated with the sun in Aries. The sun illuminates wherever it goes anyway, and whichever sign and house it occupies anyway, whichever it's transiting. But right now with Aries, it's just like, and Venus and the moon, which are much more like, too hot, man. They're sort of being scorched. And so anything from a relationship financial perspective that is giving you the itch, there's a method behind the madness. There's a reason why it's happening, that is breaking your heart, that is causing, that is making you sad. With this new moon and with the old year ending, it ended technically when the sun entered Aries around March the 20th, 21st. But it's really, in terms of action, ending today and starting with this new moon. Because all the Mercury thinking and the Venus itching and the sun in Aries, they've been setting up this new year. And so with Venus in Aries and with this new moon conjunct Venus, after the moon is new, within a few hours, it goes ahead and meets Venus and says, all right, a new birth, let's go. And Venus has already experienced a kind of a new birth when it conjuncted the sun around March the 26th. And then it conjuncted Chiron, where your wounds are and your patterns are that create those wounds of the 26th. So Venus has been itching, working, discontent, rock. It's not that Venus is rocking the boat, it's that Venus is being rocked in the boat. And so the question is, my boat is unsteady, who is in it, who is not in it, who is the liability, who's taking too much of my time and not producing, who's making my heart ache, financially, whatever the equivalent of these questions are in the nexus, restless, all leading to this new moon in half an hour or so, so that that period can enter its own kind of rebirth. So relationship-related, financial-related assessments of what is working and what is not working, March the 21st to April the 14th. And as a result of those assessments, perhaps some decisions and some endings as you head to this new moon. And then the new moon occurs, conjunct Venus, and when the new moon occurs, the moon and Venus itself are likely to be irked. The new moon comes out of that irked nature, is utterly forward-looking, and is blessed with some transits that are about a solid future as we move forward, and decision-making that leads to a solid foundation and future as we move forward. But more on that tomorrow. Okay, if you found this video useful, feel free to share it, like it, comment on it, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button so you're notified whenever I do a new video. That way you won't have to like wonder, you'll be notified. And my contact information is in the description area below. So if you want to inquire about rates for readings or want me to make an easy to read version of your chart that shows you which signs and which houses, what those houses stand for, let me know. No, send me an email so I can let you know the rate information. You can determine if you want to move forward or not. Do not send me your personal information without being comfortable with the rates. One more thing. Wherever Aries sits in your chart, Venus, no matter how uncomfortable, is still bringing a revitalization to that part of the chart. Wherever Venus goes, there is a blessing. Wherever Venus goes, there are opportunities. There could be relationship opportunities. There could be financial opportunities. It could be that these relationship and financial opportunities are being opened up on the basis of what is closing down and what is needed to be ended. So whatever this itch is that needs to be scratched, felt, healed, whatever cream needs to be put on, however it needs to be treated, Venus is a fortunate planet, and actually a fortunate planet where you actually feel the good fortune. It's not like Jupiter, where the good fortune could mean that you've somehow been laid off and it puts you in the right direction. It's all very mystical and very big and very momentous. With Venus, it can be cash. It can be a relationship. In Aries, it can mean that the irritation is fortuitous. Now, depending on where Venus is, where Aries is in your chart, though, you're going to, for example, if you have a Taurus rising and Aries is in your 12th house, we're dealing with a different interpretation. This is a general reading. But wherever Venus goes, it brings in a blessing. It might be an irked blessing in Aries. But fear not. On the 14th, Venus enters Taurus, a sign she rules. So she's going to go from discomfort to, I'm done with that bullshit, and I'm going to enjoy my flow and my return to equilibrium and health and my joy. And whoever's been stealing my joy, or whoever is standing in the way of my joy, from a business perspective, it could be financial abundance, till the 14th, and even through today, you might have identified and might have done some soul searching and some inventory about who is in the way of that joy, so that those relationships can go bye-bye or be put on the back burner, or you could simply remove yourself from them while remaining very pleasant to, again, very Venusian. Lovely to see you. A little insincere, polite Libran, a sign that Venus rules. So it could be that, although with Venus in Aries, it's not likely to be, you may not be in the mood to be all that polite, but it could be one option in the way of, if there's a relationship that feels like it needs to go bye-bye, you just choose to, rather than get into it, or rather than separate or divorce or kick someone out, you just keep it. You make the internal decision. But once Venus moves into Taurus, then clearing some of this energy, it's as if Venus is needing to shed the irritation and the irritants behind, so that she can just start to do her own thing again in a few days' time. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks.